Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
7:37 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. Brian Wilson here. That guy over there, he's Brian Neiman. And the third chair is empty right now, but in the 8 o'clock hour, it will be filled by the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Bob McDonnell, a man who was on the campaign trail yesterday with Mitt Romney, and a man who is being talked about as a potential running mate for Mitt Romney. He'll be here at the top of the 8 o'clock hour right after the news. Standing by on the line now, our good friend from the Fox Business Network, Stuart Varney. Stuart, some days you are good news, Stu, and some days you are bad news, Stu, when it comes to the numbers. Yesterday, the ADP job numbers did not look very good. There's some other numbers out there that sort of echo that it may not be a good official report by the government tomorrow. What's your sense of it?
I'm afraid I'm bad news, Stu, this morning, Brian. Got to be. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Be otherwise. But look, we just got the latest numbers on layoffs. There's an outfit called Challenger Gray and Christmas. Mm-hmm. They look at layoffs, planned layoffs. 7% higher in April compared to March. Now, that paints a negative picture of the overall employment situation, especially when you bear in mind that the number of new private sector jobs, that came in very, very low, very weak yesterday. It suggests that tomorrow, when we get the big jobs number, it will be a negative reading. It will show that the economy has turned direction, changed direction, no longer modest growth, but now very, very weak growth.
Now, sometimes those numbers are already baked into what the market is doing, and sometimes they are not. I'm expecting that probably that will not have a positive impact on the market tomorrow.
I think there's a real divorce between all the economic numbers we're getting and the performance of the stock market. The Dow Industrial Average is only, about 800, 900 points, less than that, away from its all-time record high, just at the point where you've got the economy beginning to turn south again. You can't make head or tails of that until you realize that the baseline for the stock market is corporate profits, and corporate profits are still rising nicely. That's why stocks are going up.
So you think they'll continue to go up and there'll be no pullback if these numbers are bad tomorrow?
I just will not make any kind of prediction about the stock market. Let's suppose, though, that you get bad numbers on employment tomorrow morning. That doesn't necessarily mean that the stock market will sell off, because some investors will say, bad economy, that means Ben Bernanke is going to print a ton more money, and that'll go to the stock market, so we're going to be okay, boys. Let's buy that stock market.
By the way, when you were on last week, I guess, and we were talking about the Labor Department's decision to go after farmers, you noticed that after your rant, a lot of important people in Washington listen to you, Stuart Varney. They reversed their decision at the Labor Department, so congratulations to you.
A rant? Did you say I? Moi? Of course, you can do anything with a British accent. You realize that. I contest, Brian, that I ranted. I did not rant, and I contest the view that I had anything to do with that reversal by the Labor Department. I'd like to think I did, but I probably didn't.
All right, there was the Yale professor, what's his last name, Schiller, who's the guy with over the housing market, said the other day that he thought that the housing market was in for another long slide, and that this thing is not going to get better anytime soon. Could be decades before we get back to where we were from the highs of the housing market. I guess my question to you is, can you have a recovery? What comes first, the recovery or the uptick in housing?
Traditionally, housing was the beginnings of the uptick. But this time around, I think it has to be the economy overall and the employment situation in particular that starts the uptick, which then moves on to the housing market. I think it's got to be that way around. Look, it is incredible to me that home prices in some parts of the country are all the way back to 1997 levels. That would be Atlanta, Georgia, for example. They're all the way back to 97. Now, I've never seen that in the real estate market in America before. And along comes Professor Schiller and says that it's going to get even worse.
Yikes.
Whoa, that's tough medicine to swallow. I mean, I don't doubt the man's ability in forecasting and analyzing the situation, but it still comes as a shock when a man like that says there's even worse to come. I mean, whoa, that takes you off your feet.
Yeah, well, every market is different. We know that. We've been told that time and time again about real estate. So,
well, I noticed that in Phoenix, which was particularly hard hit, they've come back just a little, maybe up about 2% from about 6 months ago. But that's nothing. That's nothing.
We're doing a story here locally. I just want to get your take on it. In Montgomery County, they're going to increase the parking rates. And, that they do that from time to time, but it seems that it turns out the reason they're going to do that is because more people are using their smartphone apps to actually pay the meters, and they're losing the stream of revenue. Therefore, people who are actually following the law are going to be penalized. We see this a lot in government, don't we? Different examples of it, like cigarette taxes. When people stop smoking, they have to increase the cigarette tax.
Yeah, well, I see this as desperation. Governments everywhere, local, municipal, city, state, you name it, they are desperate for money. And when the income stream comes down a little bit from an accepted source like parking meters, they got to do something about it. I mean, I don't know what to say, Brian, because, what are they supposed to do? Well, down goes the income stream. They're virtually bankrupt. A lot of these places are anyway. What are they going to do? I mean, what are they going to do?
I don't know. I have this novel concept, Stu, and it never works when you're talking to people in government. How about trimming the size of government?
Now you're talking, Brian. Of course, I've never heard that suggestion before, and I've certainly never seen it implemented. Wouldn't it be nice if I could go on a rant and we'd get some serious cuts in
listen, you did well with the Labor Department. We're willing to let you do that.
Well, not today, actually. I'm feeling kind of mellow.
Okay.
All right, Stuart. Good to have you on, as always. We appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Stu.